Welcome back to the second part of this presentation. Once again, we will continue on by providing a brief perspective on trending and sustainability. Some of the observations may surprise you. All right, I particularly like this image as it is simple and clear, and I particularly like the inner points. So around sustainability, you see bearable between planet and people, equitable between people and profit, and viable between planet and profit. It provides an interesting perspective. This further demonstrates a demand for incorporating sustainability in change delivery. Obviously, we don't have 1.6 planets, but more interesting, the data further shows us on track to require the resources of 2 planets well before mid-century. Now, the next few slides will focus on recent trending with organizations and businesses regarding sustainability, and you might be surprised. This is a good slide, but there is a cleaner one which I will present later. What are the organizational motivators to engage in sustainability? I would argue a slightly more mercenary perspective, though. Brand protection, risk mitigation, asset lifecycle operations and maintenance cost reduction, and benefits improvement. But that aside, in some industries, customers may prefer sustainable products or services. There may be legislative or political pressure, scarcity of resources, on and on. This is a recent and noticeable observation from Harvard. The value at risk in global portfolios, investment portfolios, has been estimated to range from about 2 trillion to 25 trillion, and I've seen quotes that are even more. Now, this is a fascinating and direct quote. The obvious implication is that any investment tied to physical coastal assets could be at real risk. These timeframes are not theoretical for long-term asset owners. A 20-something teacher contributing to her state pension today will expect a payout 50 years from now, around the time that huge areas of Boston, New York, Miami, and New Orleans could be unlivable. Once again, 50 years from now. Fortunately, and somewhat surprisingly, business and Wall Street are actually responding positively. Check out the last bullet. The UN Principles of Responsible Investment says investors who have signed on to this initiative manage about 59 trillion, or about half of all institutional assets worldwide, a jump of about 37% for 2015. The point is, investors are seeing sustainability as a positive investment. They're not avoiding it anymore. Now, there is still the issue, what is sustainable investment? In the past, it was you would avoid pornography, guns, alcohol, that sort of thing. The new definition is a little fuzzy, but the point is investors are not seeing it as negative, they're seeing it as positive. Now these numbers speak for themselves. CEOs agree that sustainability issues are paramount to their business. There is still the issue that they struggle in equating business value to them, and that's something that we can help them with as project managers. Just quoting here, 80% action on climate change is an urgent priority for my business. Now, keep in mind, the date of this was several years ago, so even now I'm sure it would be much more. Now, ignoring the conspiracy theories around the lower oil prices and just using business common sense, the impact of low oil has impacted businesses significantly. However, though on one hand protecting the various regions and the major oil companies, it has weakened their influence in lobbying. And I believe that's been demonstrated by the following, and I would argue, radical change in initiatives. In 2016, well, this year, I had the opportunity to attend both the United Nations Global Compact's 15th anniversary, that was last year, Leadership Summit and General Assembly. It was there that Executive Director Georg Kell, and he retired at the end of that summit, made a bold declaration by stating, I guarantee that within 4 years, the marketplace will have changed from within because sustainability and its reality is becoming a transformative force. Finally, asset managers are waking up to the basic reality that sustainability pays off. Long-term financial success can only be assured if companies also good on governance, on social behavior, and environmental stewardship. Now, failure on any of these 3 pillars will make it impossible for companies to sustain success over the long term or become successful. Now, that brings full circle the need for project management to become a driving force in the global sustainability movement. And if you check here, project management, this is huge and reinforces the importance of the third discussion topic, asset lifecycle management. There's a quote, "History will remember this day," is what Ban Ki-moon stated as 193 countries found common ground on climate change. This was incredible. Now, I had the honor of being invited to the COP21 Business Forum, and it was clear in the roundtable discussions that companies had woken up to the fact that they can't rely on government to take action. Curiously enough, based on some readings, it's actually major corporations that have all of the power. Anyway, what does this mean for our profession? The new Sustainability Development Goals will help highlight key focus areas for organizations and governments. And just a personal observation there. Elise Kingo, saw her present at the Global Compact 15, the one that was on the previous slide, and I respected her immediately. Her opening comment when she took over the UN Global Compact was, "The darkest places in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality in times of moral crisis." I love that. Not too long after the SDGs were voted on, they were approved. So they took effect on January 1st as part of the 2030 Agenda. Now, the new Sustainability Development Goals help indicate where we should focus attention. Now, fortunately, there is considerable guidance on how to interpret this and be positively involved. A lot of standards outlined here. These are the ones that we use at GPM Global and more. My recommendation, however possible, acquire these, read these, study these. They're all fairly short and they are incredibly, incredibly helpful. Here's a few more. Now, there is a more exhaustive list, but as I said, we use these and embed these in all of our standards and services, and they are fantastic. This is the GPM P5 standard and is available for free on our website. Now, what it offers is a roadmap or checklist to guide discussions around change delivery, risk mitigation, brand protection, asset lifecycle benefits improvement, and cost reduction. Now, I will repeat this a lot. This is a great way to incorporate sustainability within project management by using this, as, again, a checklist to validate what you're doing and how you're doing it. All right, so we've gone through sustainability. Interestingly enough, the need for sustainability has been identified. It has been recognized globally. Even governments and corporations have accepted the inevitable and are now willing to be actively, to some degree, involved. We have a consensus on where to focus and guidance on how to be involved. The next question is, how does that directly impact sustainable project management? And that'll be the next section. This is the standard definition for sustainable change delivery, and I'm going to read it out. Aims to maximize the social, economic, and environmental value that the change initiative's investment objectives or resulting asset brings. It also aims to minimize negative impact, economic, macro, micro, social, environmental, from the method and the technique. So what do we mean by this? Now, as mentioned before, there was a cleaner image that I liked. I like this one because it clearly shows the benefits of sustainable change delivery based on risks. So the intent is to maximize the social, economic, and environmental value, specifically capital, benefits, opportunity, brand, but also, more importantly, to minimize the negative impact, costs, threats, or rumor greenwashing. Here's an overview of what could be determined or defined as some change delivery disciplines. Now, before we would just focus on the blue area, and even within the blue area, probably the center. Personally, we have to have a strong, all of us, understanding of project controls, team management, understanding agile work packages, project management, obviously, understanding how we fit into program management, and understanding how we fit into portfolio management in terms of what information do the executives need, or do we need from the executives, to be able to help them make better decisions and justify the change initiative. As well, value management, we'll discuss that in a little bit. Risk management, we'll discuss that. Asset lifecycle, we'll discuss that. Benefits, we'll discuss that. Understanding all of these things, business case, sponsorship, governance, the support structures, we have to be aware of all of these PM disciplines. Just having a understanding of project management or possibly some of the controls or possibly agile just won't cut it anymore. We need to be better educated and aware of these other areas. Here's another interesting perspective. The notion of change delivery management systems. Specifically, how does your organization support you as a project manager or the projects? What does the organization have in place to help you manage and execute your projects in the best way? I think there's some interesting observations there. Again, we won't go through this in detail, but it's just something to be aware of. What does the organization have, or what can you do to help them put this in place? I really like this slide. Where does sustainability most commonly live? Specifically, organizational strategy and operations. So if you look on any Fortune 500 website, and you'll see social responsibility, and the vast majority is tied to supply chains and operations. If opportunity is driven through projects, which I think we've identified, then why do we not have best practices for sustainability within project management? I like this. This is the Bermuda Triangle of sustainability. Now, one of the things that GPM Global offers is a series of standards and guides to help organizations incorporate sustainability into change delivery. But just being aware that we need to focus on these areas and to ensure that we are supporting both the product, the method, the approach, the asset lifecycle is key. All right. Now, this section, we've gone through some short highlights of the importance of sustainable change delivery and what is involved. Now, the next two sections will discuss some key areas to focus on to facilitate sustainable or successful sustainable projects. Once again, though, first, it's time to take a break.